the Mother of God, a conscious and eternal power is here, behind unhappiness and mortal birth, and the error of thought and blundering trudge of time. The Mother of God, his sister and his spouse, daughter of his wisdom and of his strength, the mate. She has leapt from the transcendent secret breast to build her rainbow worlds of mind and life. Between the superconscient absolute light and the inconscient's vast unthinking toil, in the rolling and routine of matter's sleep and the somnambulist motion of the stars, she forces on the cold, unwilling void, her adventure of life, the passionate dreams of her heart. Amidst the work of darker powers, she is here to heal the evils and mistakes of space and change the tragedy of the ignorant world into a divine comedy of joy. And the laughter and the rapture of God's bliss. The Mother of God is Mother of our souls. We are the partners of His birth in time, inheritors. We share His eternity.
Could you speak a little bit about these darker powers that Mother talked to you about?
No, I think somebody had asked the Mother in front of us if in this poem he is referring to her, and she had said yes. It is one of her transcendental aspects.
And tell us a little of what Mother may have said to you about the darker powers. He mentions the darker powers.
No, I can't remember well, but I remember that she had asked us to be very silent and meditate for half an hour every morning before starting our work. And I was reading Mother's prayers and meditations, and there she often speaks of Divine's love. So I asked Mother, Mother, what is Divine's love? She stepped back, and I saw a column of light in which she was standing. Then she came forward. She said, this is Divine's love.
Did others see it? Did anyone else see it, or just
No,
you?
we used to go alone for pranam. She used to be in the, the door we use for entering for darshan nowadays. Yes. She used to stand near that door. It was called the small antechamber or whatever. We used to enter one by one and do a pranam. And I was very young, so whoever was my teacher or something, I was impressed. So we had started learning dancing, and our dance teacher went before me to do a pranam to the mother, and I was watching. Then I went in, I did the pranam like her. When I put my head up, mother said, no, it was only a dance pose. And so after that, I had to find my own way. And mother had said that she had said in the classroom itself, I think, in front of everyone, that those who put their head on her right foot are meant for devotion, and those who put their head on their left foot is for power, position. That she had told us. So pranam to her was a very important thing for us. And she had said, in India, when you want to express respect, you do a full bowing down, not just kneeling as in the West. You kneel and you bow down to the head, to the feet. But just as we say, how do you do, how are you? So namaskar is the Indian way of saying, good morning, how are you? Because she used to do like that to the officials who came. So some people objected to it. So she said, no, in India this is only a gesture of welcoming.
It does not mean that I bow.
No, and the bowing down comes with the head and all. But this is just to say, namaskar, how are you? It is a common addressing somebody in the morning first. So Pranam, who used to stay with mother, he started teaching us by doing. Whoever he would see, he would say, namaskar, how are you, and things like that. And we learned. Silence is all. Silence is all, say the sages. Silence watches the work of the ages. In the book of silence, the cosmic scribe has written his cosmic pages. Silence is all, say the sages. What then of the word, O speaker? What then of the thought, O thinker? Thought is the wine of the soul, and the word is the beaker. Life is the banquet table, as the soul of the sage is the drinker. What of the wine, O mortal? I am drunk with the wine as I sit at wisdom's portal, waiting for the light beyond thought and the word immortal. Long I sit in vain at wisdom's portal. How shalt thou know the word when it comes, O seeker? How shalt thou know the light when it breaks, O witness? I shall hear the voice of the God within me and grow wiser and meeker. I shall be the tree that takes in the light as its food. I shall drink its nectar of sweetness.
There are many questions here. For example, thought is the wine of the soul, and the word is the beaker. Can you enlighten us a little bit? How thought is the wine of the soul.
Beaker is the cup in which the wine is held. So, the world itself, the life around us, is the mode through which we feel the touch of the divine when we are silent. So that is how he is saying,
thought is the wine of the soul.
Thought is the wine of the soul. The word is the beaker. Oh, I see. I thought it was the word.
Word.
The word is the beaker. So the word contains the knowledge and wisdom which we can receive only in silence, with a silent mind. Because when we read, normally there are other thoughts which are coming in and there are other associations. But no, here we want to receive through the word the touch of the divine. So not only the touch, but the revelation that comes through the meaning of the word. So the word is the means through which a knowledge is conveyed, the wisdom is conveyed.
And thought is the wine of the soul.
Yes.
Thought is the wine of the soul.
Yeah.
And the word is
Yes.
the beaker.
Yes, because our unspoken feeling and our unspoken impression, we communicate through word. So he uses the image of wine and beaker. I think that's the reason why. In a mountain as of sea tides, in a mountain as of sea tides, in a rippling as of invisible waters, on a cry in me, my soul is uplifted. In a passion of my nature, my heart climbs up towards thee, O unimaginable wonder and resplendence. In a striving for the caress of thy light and for the embrace of thy presence. if once given were but a touch of thy feet on the thrilled bosom of my longing, but a glance of thy eyes mingling with mine in the recesses and the silence, such a rapture would envelop me, such a fire of transfiguring effulgence. I could never again be as a man upon this earth, but one immortal. For my mind would be dissolved in a sun glory of God vision and of knowledge, and my heart would be made suddenly more pure and illumined and self-tranquil. And my nerves and my body would transmute into an ethereal divineness, a fit vesture for the Godhead thou buildest in me, for the immortal, thy adorer. O thou, life of my life, and the unseen heart of its ecstasy and its beating, O face that was disclosed in the beginning of the worlds amid the immenseness, let thy flame wisdom leap down upon the coilings of our python inconscient. Let the love wine be poured out in thy chalice. Let me be drunk with it forever. I shall meet thee in the ocean of thy stillness, in the ether of thy splendor. Thy force shall be in my veins like the ichor in the unaging who are deathless. My soul shall be as one breath with thy soul, and thy infinity around thee, and shall quiver with the vision of thy beauty and the marvel of thy sweetness.
So beautiful. But I do have some questions. What is the ichor of the unaging? Okay.
Of immortality, icon will be for, in India we have the normal practice of praying through an image. And Sri Aurobindo himself had said that he didn't believe at first in all those things. But afterwards, in near Baroda, I think, I don't remember where exactly, his sonnet Stone Goddess, you know the sonnet,
Yes,
Stone Goddess. After that experience, he knew that the divinity manifested itself through the images also. So the how does it go? In a town of idols, the goddess looked at me or something like that, and she smiles at, and he knows that there is a presence in the image, and the image worship does have some sort of a truth in it.
And we have heard, I have heard, that in some temples the presence is extremely strong. I think in South India,
In South India,
there are some.
and I had this experience when I was a child of 4 or 5. My mother used to visit the Ramakrishna Mission temple in Rangoon. We were at Rangoon at that time. I was too young to be left alone at home, so she took me along with her. And we stood for quite some time, and the priest was doing his puja. It was a blank white wall, quite as big as this altogether. And he was there, a human being, doing that. I went on looking, and I said, so there's something we can pray to. I understood at that time that there was a power superior to the human, to whom we can pray, and who gives us the blessings afterwards I understood according to our receptivity and our prayer. That I understood here. But as a child, that's what I took in, that there's some power greater than human to whom we can pray.
And you were very young. You were very young.
4 years old.
4 years old. My goodness.
4, maximum 5. What I found very, very difficult was that he was ringing with his left hand the bell, and with the right hand he was doing his puja. The two hands were going in a different way. I tried many times afterwards when I was doing dancing and all. I found it pretty difficult, to have this and this go in as if this is a physical thing and this is conveying our prayer. It was like that. But it is, as a physical gesture, it is quite tough.
Now I have another question, because many people have had the experience of mother's feet, touching mother's feet. If once given were but a touch of thy feet on the thrilled bosom of my longing, but a glance of thy eyes mingling with mine in the recesses and the silence, such a rapture would envelop me, such a fire of transfiguring effulgence. I could never again be as a man upon this earth, but one immortal. Now, so many people have had this experience of Mother, touching her feet, seeing her, maybe as the divine, maybe just as a person. How does one feel that one is immortal? Just by doing that.
Here it is Sri Aurobindo's experience.
Yes, yes.
So it is the whole being. But for us, the immortal being is within us. And according to our success in our spiritual seeking, the outer, external being is touched more or less deeply by this spiritual power.
So it's the outer external being.
There is the external being. For some it is like that, it's all one with the inner being. So he says he can say it, but for us there is a certain difference. When we meditate, we recoil from our outer being. But when we went for darshan, we saw both Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Whole physical being was right. I mean, there was no... one year I was just reading. He had chosen me to do the role of Savitri in 1949. Mother told me, il t'a lui-même décerné pour ce rôle. He has himself chosen you for this part of Savitri. Actually, we had recited, and Sri Aurobindo had heard us doing the prologue of Perseus the Deliverer.
Were you in front of him?
No, he was in his room. There is that passage,
Yes.
and the one from where we take the blessing for Mother, Mother was on that side, standing at the doorway. There was no chair at that time. Standing at the doorway, and all those students to whom she used to give either a flower or a trophy at 11:30 after the school was over. We were about 30 to 35 students only. So we would sit face to face. That day when we had to recite the prologue and I had to do the role of Athene, they all sat facing east. They sat with their back towards Mother, and Mother was standing at the door. And it was 1944. She went to Sri Aurobindo's room and she came back and she said, yes, you can begin. And she stood, I can't forget the gesture, one hand on the doorway. It was really like a divine blessing to all of us. And she was so concentrated. Then after it was over, I was the last to go in a queue. She was standing and giving sweets to all of us. She caught my hand. She said, toi, tu pourras faire, tu as le sentiment. You will be able to do, you have the feeling, sentiment. So I said, what on earth did she mean? What on earth did she mean? I kept on thinking while I was walking back home. Then I suddenly understood that we had recited, I was only 11 or 12 years old, we had recited the whole of the prologue. I had done Athene. It starts, error of waters rustling through the world. Vast ocean, call thy ravenous waves back to thy feet. And he says, after some time, he says, who art thou? And all that. So she says, I am Athene. It was so conscious and real for us. And we were seeing the sea all the time. So error of waters was quite a strange term for me. And when she said tu as le sentiment, I understood that I had let my imagination fly on the lines on Perseus. We had just done the legend of Perseus in our English class. So when I said, thou wingest Perseus from the northern snows, not knowing which way thou wendest, Be glad of life. Be glad of love. Where something Andromeda waits for thee or something like that. I can't remember the right. At that point, I had looked up and it was as if I was really seeing Perseus flying through the air. We had just done the legend and I was very imaginative. And so when Mother said, you can convey the feeling through the words, she meant that. And she said, you will be able to do this work.
I have many Savitri students. Very few have that ability to catch what you are saying. Many just read words, and others just read in a monotone.
Yes.
But I suppose that any reading of Savitri is good for each person.
Yes. Just the reading is good. There are people who have done it to bring a stronger presence in the gardens, And I had told myself just that, what is this, just reading it through? It took them 3 days, I think, 1 hour, 2 hours each, more than that, to read through the whole of Savitri. They read through the whole of Savitri simply to call down the presence of the divine. And they simply did the reading. There was no question of imagination or experience. They just read. And I understood that the words have a power, and if they read, Sri Aurobindo and Mother can convey something of their blessing and presence in the area.
Even without their understanding.
Even without their understanding. The sound of the word has a power. In his essay on quantitative meter, he says that the vowel sounds which are different have a certain weight. That's why he calls it quantitative meter. That English is not only a language of stress and non-stress for poems. In the quantitative meter poem, you have to be very careful about the sound of the vowels. You have another, a drawing room. You say A as a, and you say A as a, antagonistic, and then you say A as far away. You see? So the vowel sound contains a different weight. A tree, very short. I'm on the way, a little long. Far away, wider. So the weight of the vowel A changes with the word. And that is what he is calling quantitative meter. The little ego. This puppet ego, the world's mother made, this little profiteer of nature's works, her trust in his life tenancy betrayed, makes claim on claim, all debt to her he shirks. each movement of our life, our ego fills. Inwoven in each thread of being's weft, when most we want our selflessness, it steals a sordid path. No corner void is left. One way lies free, our heart and soul to give, our body and mind to Thee, and every cell, and steeped in Thy world infinity, to live. Then, lost in light, shall fade the ignoble spell. Nature of a rebellion quit shall be a breath of the Spirit's vast serenity.
On this earth where we are, we see so much violence, so much hatred, so much falsehood. Is it only because of the ego, or can it be also because of these darker forces?
It is certainly for the darker forces, but it is because man is allowing himself to be moved by these forces. And there is, I think Mother had explained to us, but that was when everything was calm. There was no violence, no war in the Middle East, as in the Middle East. It is really, it shakes you to the heart, because Israel is like the, what is the word used in the Bible? The destined land, no, the
Promised land.
promised land.
Promised land, yes.
So it's, I was looking at the map yesterday. I said, oh, what a pity, because Moses had said, I am bringing you to the land of God, and he led his people. And when he stepped, he said, here I am stepping on the soil, which is God's gift to us. We had done a play by Racine in French. You know, Corneille, Racine, and Molière are three dramatists of the 17th century when they awakened France, and their plays, 5-act plays, became quite a rage. And it turned Paris into, which became afterwards the center of culture in Europe. That is the starting point. And a 19th century poet, Boileau, looks back at the 17th century poets, and he speaks of Corneille, whose play Le Cid, El Cid from Spanish to French, where the king establishes, allows the El Cid It is always a fight between truth and darkness, you know. And there the two characters of the heroine and the hero are Shimen, tout Paris pour Chimène à les yeux de du Cid. No, I'm forgetting the names exactly, but he says it was in 1635 that the play was enacted, and at that time the king was Louis XIV, the famous great king of the Bourbon.
Sun King.
And he, in the courtyard of his palace, Versailles, he used to hold these meetings of plays done by great playwrights and actors. So 2 centuries later, on looking back at their culture, Boileau, literature and examiner, we can say, of their cultural heritage, says that after the Cid was enacted, the whole of Paris, tout Paris pour Chimène à les yeux de Rodrigue, the whole of Paris looked upon the heroine Chimène as if they were her lover Rodrigue. Tout Paris pour Chimène à les yeux de Rodrigue. The whole of Paris was like overjoyed to see this play. So much, everyone had that, you know, that was the only conversation, that was the... So he says, tout Paris pour Chimène à les yeux de Rodrigue. That was Corneille, who began the 17th century dramatic poetry, and as I have had to take up French literature classes, I know the dates. 1636, it was enacted in Versailles. And much later, we understand that their aim was to make the people of France, and especially people of Paris, more cultured. And Molière, who is a dramatist of comedies, says that in the courtyard of Versailles, 100 people, 150 people could see. He says, if even 2 of them go back home and say the vice and the nature, human nature we laughed at so heartily is also in us, he said, then I'll have succeeded in what my aim is. They wanted to awaken the mind and the consciousness of the people through their work. A long time.
Wonderful morning. Wonderful. Thank you, Amita.